Hi, and welcome to the Evolved Exchange. My name is Sally Guest. I'm a high performance coach, author, and event planner. The Evolved Exchange is all about exchanging information, inspiration, and education with extraordinary people who have dedicated their lives to developing human potential. I'm super excited today to introduce you all to Linda Babulic. Now, Linda, I've met Linda several times, and well, the best way to probably describe her would be zesty. She is the author of the most amazing book, Zest Your Life. She is a Zest expert. She is the host of Mo Mondays, which is a motivational speaking evening in Ottawa. And she is also just been voted the top 25 most influential, one of the top 25 most influential people in Ottawa. Now, that was in the Ottawa Life magazine. Linda is an amazing woman, and the first time we sat down for a proper catch up, I was just really struck by her energy and her zestiness, of course. So, thank you so much for being here today, Linda.
Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure.
And before we dive in, as you know, Evolved Living very much follows philosophy, a life philosophy all around human potential. And the top five key things that we believe need to be in place in order for us to live and sustain our full potential is a balanced and connected mindset, a mind-body connection, so excellent mind-body connection, plenty of physical input and physical output is the fourth one, and number five is great mind-body restoration. So having had a conversation with you, I know that philosophically we are actually quite similar. So let's just dive in and just in the context of your book, Zest Your Life, let's talk a little bit about mindset and what you believe it takes to have a balanced, connected, and zesty mindset.
Well, I really think that was the magic of when we first met and why we did connect. Because the book has four parts: awaken the woman within, and that awakening of the woman within has to be a mindset. The mindset that there's more to life. I can live this at a higher vibration. I can improve my life. That's the awakening of the woman within. The next part is called create emotional maturity. Well, and again, that's a mindset thing, so that you are looking at events from the past, not from the maturity of when it happened to you when you were 6, 8, 10, or a teenager, but at the maturity that you hold now, at that much higher level of maturity. The next part is connect the mind body, which is
Of
fabulous, of
course, yeah.
course. And then the last part is living your zest. So, how do you pull all of that together? And certainly the entire book is,
Fabulous.
oh, there's a $20 bill sticking out at the top of it.
So do you actually get a $20 bill when you buy the book?
Yeah, that's right. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, you do because you gain all kinds of other benefits. But it is that mindset change that we need to have. I just had a conversation with someone this morning that was in a country in Europe that is not as advanced as some of the other countries. She said it felt like a flashback to the 50s, and she was looking for that sparkle, that zest that people have in their eyes of saying, I can make my life better. And she said there was a whole age group that didn't have it. She
Wow.
said the younger people at university that have experienced internet, they're keeners. They want to get more in their life. And if you have more, then you can give more. You can share the zest. That's the way we're going to have to do it to make this world a better place.
Absolutely. And just maybe, I'd love to hear a little bit about how you ended up becoming an author and this amazing philosophy that I mean, is it just life experience and just getting out there and putting yourself out there?
Well, it's interesting, that word just life experience. Certainly it was life experience. And what happened was I was a corporate trainer. I had my own training program. I got into a niche market with the auto parts suppliers to Honda. And so I designed a training program for their entry level managers. But the interesting thing that often happens, it's after class. So
Mm,
after class, they were stopping me, asking me personal questions. And then my coaching clients, as that practice started to build, I realized that there was a big gap there that I couldn't offer in the corporate setting that I was in.
mm,
Certainly, it's applicable to corporate setting, but not that one at that time. So that's when I launched a series in 2011. I did a pilot project. So I launched a series of 5 workshops. It was, again, Awaken Zest, Emotional Zest, Mind Body Zest, Spiritual Sexual Zest, and Live Your Zest. I wanted to prove and validate what I was saying because I did not want it to be one of those books that it's, oh, do what I did and it'll all work for you. I wanted to know it could work for other people. And
mm.
I saw women change before my eyes. It was very miraculous. And all these years later, they're still talking about how their life wouldn't be where it is today if it didn't happen then.
Wow.
So then I rewrote based on the input that I got from all of the participants and did another series of 5. This time I added on a vision board, which is so important because you need to have that. And that's also included in the book.
Wow.
And then I rewrote, regrouped, put it all into the book, and it has anecdotes. It has plenty of anecdotes, research, and it has exercises in it. And when you buy the book, you'll get the website link that you could get the book bonuses so you can actually work through the exercises. I'm doing live sessions here with that in Ottawa to go through the exercises together, but I'll also be doing Google Hangouts starting in January so that
Fabulous.
all over the world, because it is an international bestseller, will be able to join in on Skype or whatever medium I'll be using then to talk about the exercises with women around the world to see our commonalities and help each other through these parts.
So why zest? And like, what was it in just your life experience? That word just. No, but what was it in your life experience that made you come to that word? What was it that inspired you?
Well, when I was very young, I come from a French Canadian family,
Hmm.
and it didn't take long for me to figure out that when my aunts came to visit, after driving for, I think it was about a 10-hour drive to go from Detroit to Northern Ontario, that when the sisters got together, they had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I noticed was they spoke more English than we did. We spoke
Mm,
French. And so what I realized was that they seemed to drive the bigger, fancier cars than we had. They had bigger, fancier money than we had. And so that's when I decided that I was going to go for the more. They
mm,
had more zest in their life, and I want to have more of that. So I learned to speak English without a French accent, although I can revert rather quickly. And then later on, I went back to university and perfected my French. So now I'm totally bilingual. But that was a big turning point in me, was the examples of the people around me and what they were doing with their lives and what they were accomplishing. And that's what zest is. It's just that little bit of flavor that you add into whatever you're making. If you're making a recipe, you add a little zest and it just cranks it up. Well, when you add a little bit of zest to your life, it cranks it up. And that could be as simple as smiling, because that cranks up your own zest. If you're smiling at someone else, it's going to crank up their zest and add that little bit of wonderful flavor to their life, which we all could use a little more of.
absolutely. I love that. And speaking of adding zest to food, I actually was thinking earlier when I was in the shower, you always have those wonderful ideas when you're in the shower. Like, oh, I'm going to ask Linda if she puts loads of zest into her food as well.
Well, I probably would if I did the cooking.
Oh, really? Oh, so you've actually got a fabulous
I don't.
husband
My
who's,
husband John does most of the cooking. I mean, I can cook and I'm a good cook, but it's what he does more regularly than I do. He's the chef in the family. I don't even own the chef jacket. He has it. I'm the assistant. I set a beautiful table. and I can clean really well too. But certainly, I can add zest. He's a photographer, so sometimes I could give him some ideas on some of the settings. Um, so we work well together, and that's how I add
Fabulous.
my zest to the world. Certainly not often in a recipe.
Oh, really? Well, my favorite implement in my kitchen is actually my zester. So I'm so glad that I have that now because I've just got all my stuff from New Zealand. So
Oh, good.
yes, finally.
I
Um,
have several zesters. I'm
yes,
gifted with a lot of
I
zesters, which
bet you
is
are.
lovely. Very, and they're all different. It's nice to have my collection of zesters.
Absolutely. So, just getting back to you're a zest expert, and so you are running these classes and going through the exercises in the book. But if I was to ask you, what is the one key thing in terms of your mindset to really kind of add that extra zest to your life, what would you say to people is the most important thing that they need to do? Or what's the best starting point for them?
Well, you'll find it in the zesters because the book does have zesters at the end of each part. And that's something that you could do, an action that you can take. And my very favorite one is to speak kindly to yourself.
Mm,
You know, we're really good at speaking kindly to others and we're nice to everybody around us, but sometimes we're not so nice to ourselves. So we need to speak kindly to ourselves, love ourselves, and that can be an entire shift of mindset.
mm,
When you go from doing from where you are to loving yourself and speaking kindly to yourself, you can speak kindly to others. It's that shift from when you're walking down and you're seeing the shop windows and you look over and you go, ugh, and you don't feel good about yourself to looking and going, damn, I look fine today. I'm rocking it. That's where you want to be.
yeah.
You want to have that great feeling when you get up in the morning and you say, wow, my hair looks pretty good for being all night. Or the picture I posted the other day with my trainer after training at 7 o'clock in the morning. She wanted a picture of me with my book. It's like we don't look too bad for after a workout at 7:30 in the morning with no makeup on. But it comes from inside.
Yeah.
It's that mindset that you deserve to love yourself. And the shocking thing is, so many other people love you too. You
Mm,
couldn't even count how many people love you
mm,
because there are so many people on the planet that love you. And it might be the stranger in the mall that you smiled at that loves you for that moment, and that moment stays with them for a long time after.
mm. So, Linda, have you always been a woman that's pretty confident and self-assured on the inside, or did you have a turning point for yourself that kind of switched on the zest for you and really, really took that love for yourself to a deeper level?
Yeah, I certainly did. And I don't think it was a bang all at once. I think there were small babysit increments. And then all of a sudden, it's like when you're on that teeter-totter and I
Mm,
was walking up that side and all of a sudden it tipped and there I was.
yeah.
And it was a matter of realizing that mindset that I'm responsible for my own happiness. It's not anybody else's fault that I'm miserable. Sure, other people could be doing things that don't make you very happy, but you're responsible to interpret them how you want to interpret them, and how they affect you really has a lot to do with yourself. And
Mm,
that's when I realized, when I'm blaming somebody else, I'm giving them control over my happiness. If I'm blaming you for my misery, then you must be responsible for my happiness. And I realized that's just fudged up thinking.
mm,
It's not the way it works at all. I'm
absolutely.
responsible for my happiness. And if somebody's in my life or doing something that I feel I don't want in my life, then it's up to me to address that and change that. And
Mm,
sometimes it's easy as having a conversation with someone and coming from a place of love and kindness and just telling people what you would like in your life. And it works really well.
absolutely. And just for any viewers down under, a teeter totter is actually a seesaw.
Oh, okay.
It's so funny, like the different words that we use in different countries, because I get a lot of blank looks with certain words that I use. So that's amazing, and I think that you're so right. I mean, it starts with us, starts with number one. So in terms of let's just kind of move on. And I'd just really love to get your take on the four other key areas within the evolved living philosophy, given the, I mean, the degree to which you look into kind of the mind and the body, etc. as well. Because what do you do to enhance your mind-body connection?
Well, I certainly find working out is a huge piece, and it doesn't have to be a long workout.
Mm-hmm.
I've been living back in Ottawa now for 19 months, and it's taken me this long till I had the right heart connection with someone that I met who's a trainer. And it was like, yes, you're the one I'm going to work with because I was used to having a personal trainer. And you know, it sounds very shishi to have a personal trainer. That's a French expression.
Okay.
But it really isn't. It's a reasonable cost. It cost me less to have a personal trainer than to belong to a gym because I don't like going into those public spaces. I like to have my own gym equipment for various reasons. I don't like the cooties and my equipment's there. It's available when I want it. My personal trainer comes in and gives me a program. And I find that that gets my mindset going so that I'm connected with my body. I know what's going on. And then that just rolls into what you call that physical input
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
that I'm more careful about what I'm going to have to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me more energy to put out the output because I want to do things. I want to go play with my grandchildren. You should see us. We look quite ridiculous in the pool practicing handstands.
Cute.
But I didn't know I could do a handstand in the pool until they said, Grandmama, you can do it. And then you
Why
can,
not?
yeah, because it never occurred to me. But you need to have enough physical stamina to be able to do that. And if you have the physical input, then you certainly also will have good sleep. If you have
Mm.
good sleep, you have good dreams. You have good dreams, you could have a really great life based on those fabulous dreams.
Absolutely. And I mean that is so true because if you don't know what you want and if you're not dreaming big, then how are you going to actually get there? So
Yeah.
you've kind of rolled it all into one because let's face it, like it's all intertwined, isn't it? Like what we put into our bodies, what we do to our bodies, the exertion, um, and 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 everything that we do to restore, rest, it's all important.
Yep.
We've got to take a holistic approach, don't we?
Absolutely. And that's what I'm finding with this book is although it is targeted at women to get their emotional and spiritual connection going, I'm talking to so many women that are corporate women, entrepreneurs, and what I found was that this part half of it is really good. You know, they've got their corporate, they've got their business, they've got things rolling, whether they're employee and employer. They've got that's all going. But then there's all of this. The
Mm,
spiritual and emotional is not there, or they're not having the workouts that they want to be having. And so we need to put all that together because if we want to soar and have the success being making the difference we want to make in the world, we need to get both sides together and then off we'll go. We'll be really soaring as high as we can to make the world a better place.
and I mean, that takes something, doesn't it? You know, to really create true balance while putting one foot in front of the other towards our dreams and our goals. I mean, that takes something. So, and what does it take? I mean, it takes zest, right?
Yes. Well, I
Absolutely.
laugh when you say the balance because if you picture your seesaw,
Yeah.
when it's in perfect balance, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is you're going to have this.
Yeah.
You're going to have the ups and the downs, and then it does turn out that that's the way you want it. We don't want everything to just be staying flatlined all the time. We want things, and that's life. Things are emotional. Things change. Things happen. I mean,
Mm,
women always get accused about being so emotional. Well, yes, and we should embrace that, because if we don't honor our emotions and realize what they are and what we're feeling, how can we listen to anyone else? How
mm,
can we open our heart to that child or the inner child in the adults that we're dealing with? How are we going to do that if we don't have it there?
mm, absolutely. And I mean, that kind of ties back into what you were saying before, about being the um, approaching life from the emotional maturity that you have now, rather than living out of, say, the 5 or the 10-year-old, which, like, let's face it, if you're living out of that, you're not kind of getting where you want to go.
Yeah.
So how do you help people to step into their power and really own their emotional maturity, as they are right now?
Well, one of the exercises that I do in the book is first you have to see your power. So I take them back very early in the book. We do an exercise where you close your eyes, you go back in time, and find when you stood in your own power,
Wow.
because we have all had that moment, and feel that in your heart. And what was that story? Was it the day that that bully that was pushing you when you were 10 and you said enough? What was it? And it's all different things.
Mm,
What mine may be huge to me, and it may be insignificant to you.
mm,
So we go and you find that power story in your life. It could be a thank you note that you have from someone when you did a good job, or something that you said that they really appreciated. I have a folder of those. It's great. And then you go back again and find the very first power story you can find and
wow.
document those stories. And what you'll realize is you were very young when
Mm,
you had your first power moment, when you took the power into your own hands. It might have been one of mine is when I protected my little sister because somebody wasn't being very nice to her. But that was a huge power for me, a
wow.
power story, even though I was punished for it after because they didn't realize what I was doing. And I really don't care. I know that day that was a power story to me because
Wow.
I defended her when she needed defending. So it's really interesting when you go back. I was 6 years old, but it was very important to me. So we go back, we identify those power stories, and as we live, document those power stories. Let's all sit down around New Year's Eve, maybe, and write down all the powerful things that have happened to us in this last year. Look
Mm,
at you, you're a prime example. Moving to Canada, that's a power story.
yeah.
And every day, not crying and whining about the fact that you didn't have your bags yet or your
Yeah.
shoes. You just went on, and every single one of those, that's a triumph. That's a power story.
Mm,
Doing what we're doing today, being on Skype. I mean, we could be doing something else. We could be hiding under the covers, but we're not.
yeah.
We're stepping into our own power.
Yeah.
So, those are our power stories to find our voice, to be able to express that. And when you express it, you don't know that ripple effect that you're having on other people. It's like dropping that stone in the pond. It ripples out 7 times, it ripples back 7 times. It's an enormous example to others on how they too can step into their power and have a powerful life.
Wow. So it's really a lead by example, isn't it? It's owning and stepping into your own power and just leading by example. That's the best thing that you can put out there in the world, is
Yes.
yourself, your
And the
bestie
person
self.
you're exactly, and the person you're giving the example to the most is you.
Mm,
Because when you're doing that, when you stand on the edge and you take that leap the first time, it's scary.
mm,
And
mm.
then after that, it's much easier. Sort of reminds me of the first time I bought a very expensive pair of shoes. I thought, oh my God, that's like a ton of money. Because, of course, I broke it down. I bought 2 shoes. Not a pair is 2 shoes. I
Yes.
broke the cost down to 2 shoes. I thought, oh, that's outrageous. Yeah, you know what? The second pair wasn't so hard to buy.
No, I bet.
Or the third or the fourth. After that, it was like, nah. I can do this. I can step into that power. The first time, it takes a lot more courage, but then you get used to it
Mm,
and you step it up. You step up your game then.
absolutely. So just to kind of wind things up, because this has been fun, and there's obviously so much more that I want to ask you. So I'll definitely be getting you back in 2016. And once you're kind of more into your Zest Your Life program with all your people, then we can kind of have a bit of a review on how things are going. And I think that'd be really, really fun. So thank you so much for being here today. But how can people find you and how can people find out more about you? Where can they get your book?
Okay. Well, the book is Zest Your Life. The website is zestyourlife.com. It doesn't get much easier than that.
Nope,
And you can purchase the book on Amazon, and it comes in the Kindle or in this beautiful version. And for your viewers who are familiar with The Secret, the book is endorsed by Dr. Joe Vitale, and he loves the zesters. So that's very nice.
that's
But
amazing.
it's Amazon.com, Zest Your Life.
Thanks very much, Linda. And so, if we can round this out, what is your last pearl of wisdom or zestiness for the viewers?
Okay, so when they step away from watching this video, to just take a moment, just sit back in their chairs and just really notice how they're feeling and how much better they feel now that they've spent that time with us and acknowledge that they were very smart and zesty to take this time to enrich their own life by just taking this time to watch this video. You know, kudos to them because you came, you saw this video, you've watched it to the end. So give yourself credit for that and do a celebration that, yes, today I did something for myself and I feel better now than I did at the beginning of the show.
Awesome. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Linda, and I look forward to getting you back next year.
Thank you so much.
No
See you
worries.
soon. Bye bye.